Hi, everyone. Pete Slovinski. I'm the chair of the commission. And I know we have a couple new members, so I may have missed introductions already. I apologize if that's the case.
No, you didn't. Jamel and I were just introducing ourselves since everyone kind of knows us. So.
Oh, okay. Cool. How are you guys?
Super.
Great. Well, hi, everyone.
Oh, they're stuck. So Pete, since we do have new people, do you want to start in with introductions or do you want to call the meeting to order first?
Yeah, I thought we'd just, look, I think introductions would be a great way to start, to be honest. Because I see three new faces. I appreciate you guys joining. And again, I'm Pete Slovinski. I'm the chair. I'm a marine geologist. I work for the state. A lot of interest in community resiliency and some other stuff. So I'm also a surfer and a fly fisherman. So if you guys don't mind just giving a quick intro, I think that'd be a great way to start off.
You want to call on people since we all
I'll let you do that, Jamie.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll start with our new folks, then we'll go on to our veteran members. So why don't we start with Randy?
Hi, everyone. Randy Hogan. I'm used to on Zoom saying I'm from Scarborough, but it's irrelevant here with this group. And we all love living in this great place. I know Jamie because I'm a piping plover monitor in the summers. And I've had experience in conservation, environmental justice, and really looking forward to participating with all of you. Currently, I'm an independent philanthropy advisor, run my own consulting practice, and wanted to contribute to the town. So I'm grateful to be considered. I haven't been officially given the nod to join yet, but hopefully that'll come in a couple days. And I'm looking forward to sitting in tonight.
Great. How about Emily next?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to join you all. I'm thrilled to be a part of this. I run Meeting House Farm here in Scarborough. It's a small herb farm, and I'm really passionate about maintaining our beautiful natural resources. We are an organic and biodynamic farm, so my interests tend in that direction, and maintaining safe watershed is a really high priority for me.
Welcome. And Noah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Noah Perlitt. I really glad to be here and joining the Conservation Commission, something I've been thinking about for a long time. I'm an ornithologist at UNE. I have a bunch of different projects in Maine and elsewhere, but all of my interests are basically how birds deal with human habitat change and the things that we're doing all around us. And I have a lot of personal interests and as well as professional interests, as well as around alternative energy and agriculture as well. So I'm really happy to be here and learn from you folks. Thanks for having me.
Great, welcome to you all, and we'll just do a quick round of introductions with our veteran commission members. So we'll start with Rachel.
Hey, I'm Rachel Henderson. I'm retired, so I have plenty of time to get involved with the community. I am in a bit of vertical integration. I am on the Parks and Recreation Land Board, the Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, and now the Planning Board's rep to the Long Range Planning Committee. So I have an overview of an awful lot of stuff that's happening.
Great. Chuck, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Chuck Spangler, Beach Ridge Road. I've been on the committee for, I don't know, maybe four or 5 years. Still feel like a rookie, and I feel a little underqualified with these new members who just joined. I'm active in climate change activities, active with 350 Maine and with the support coalition for the tanks issue in South Portland, the Tank Emissions Coalition is what it's called. So I'm currently active with 350 on the Green Bank or Green Accelerator campaign. There you go.
I like the beard, Chuck.
What's that?
He
What?
likes your beard.
I like the
Oh.
beard.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing that too. Takes much of my energy.
And Susan. Oh, you're muted.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I think I've been on the Conservation Commission forever. I'm really excited about all the new people, and I think Pete's been the chair as long as I've been on too. So long time. We used to look for the cottontail rabbits was one of our first projects, and who knows where we'll go. Exciting things ahead. So I'm cooking a pizza right now. So if I back off and get it out of the oven, I'm still here.
The beauty of virtual meetings. We can cook dinner and participate at the same time.
Really cool.
Isn't that the truth? All right. Well, thanks, Jamie, for organizing the meeting and just doing that round of introductions. So I guess the first order of business tonight is for our existing members that are not new, that probably haven't seen the minutes from our last meeting, or have seen them but weren't at the meeting. We kind of need to go and accept those minutes if that's okay with everybody. So do I have a motion to accept the minutes from our December meeting?
So moved.
All right. All in favor of accepting those minutes? All right, that's unanimous from previous members, so we're good on that. Same thing for tonight's agenda. The nice thing is Jamie and Jamel always send out our agenda in advance and ask if there's something else we want on it, so we can provide feedback from the beginning. So let's vote to approve tonight's agenda as well.
So moved.
All right. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda? All right. I see some first votes from our new members. It's exciting.
Very exciting.
All right. Old business. So I'm going to let Jamie do most of the talking on some of this old business, but just to orient our new members to what we mean when we say high watermarks project. So the town is involved, along with the city of South Portland and the town of Damascotta currently, in a project with through the Maine Silver Jackets program. Silver Jackets is a program that is run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. There's a Maine chapter that involves a bunch of state agencies and also other federal agencies. And one of the projects that we're doing for this is to try to raise awareness around historical storms and also sea level rise. And the High Watermarks project is, the idea of it is to go out and after the 1978 storm, which is our historic 100-year storm of record, there were a bunch of marks that were set out that marked where the high water reached during a storm. So the idea of the project was to relocate those marks, resurvey them in using the Army Corps of Engineers team, and then translate them to publicly accessible places. And we chose Higgins Beach, Ferry Beach, and a lot near the Eastern Trail as the locations, and then put up educational signage that educates people about this event and also where the water might be if we account for moderate amounts of sea level rise. So that's just a quick introduction to it, and I'll let Jamie take it away from there.
Thanks, Pete. So this is just a follow-up on our discussion topic from our December meeting. I just want to give a big thanks to Pete for reaching out to the resident who had taken that awesome historic photo. And in a minute, I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. So we designed signs for the high water marks that will be placed in the locations that Pete mentioned. And so we had found this really awesome historic photo that we wanted to use. It was from the blizzard of 78. Are you seeing that on your screen? Okay. I'm using two monitors, so I can't tell what people can see and what they can't. So this is a photo that was taken during the blizzard of 78 down at Higgins Beach. And so you can really see the strength and devastation that storm caused. So it's a really kind of telling photo. And so one that was very eye-catching that we wanted to include on the sign. I had trouble getting in touch with the person that took it, and Pete was successful at the last minute of reaching out and getting in touch and getting permission for us to use this photo on the sign. So these signs were recently delivered to us, and they will be installed later on this spring once the ground thaws. But the signs will have a blue band that shows the water level during the blizzard, and then a red band that shows projected water levels under sea level rise conditions for a storm of similar intensity in the future.
Incredible.
So those will be going up hopefully soon.
Hey, Jamie, do we have any update at all on the concept? One of the other concepts was, if you folks are familiar with the bathhouse at Ferry Beach, there was one of the ideas before the pandemic was to have the high school class the art students create a mural that could be, it's a portable mural, it would be done elsewhere and then installed on the bathhouse, not done on the bathhouse. Which kind of showed the area under a sea level rise condition, or took into account sea level rise. Do we have a status on that at all?
So I haven't pursued that since last spring, just because they're working under a hybrid model. Time is really of the essence, and I think it's hard for them to do collaborative work right now. I think that it's something that the teacher would be interested in doing once we return to some sense of normalcy. So it won't be the same students that she probably had identified a year ago, but I think that it's something that they would still be interested in working with us on.
Okay.
It just isn't necessarily going to happen in conjunction with the sign installation.
So what is going on down at Ferry Beach? It's a huge amount of construction material.
I'm not, are they dredging the river outlet?
It looked more like they were going to build a new bathhouse or something. New stairs down there. It was incredible.
I don't know, but I can check with Public Works and Community Services to see if they can tell me what's happening.
I know they're rebuilding the seawall over on the other side of the shore.
Okay, so maybe
down
they're
by Scarborough Beach. I don't know if they're staging materials there or not, but
maybe that's it. But
all right, I can check in on that though. So that was just a quick update on that topic. Not really any decisions to be made, but just an update. And again, thank you, Pete, for doing the outreach to the resident who took that photo. It makes a big difference.
Sure.
Do you want to introduce the next one, or do you want me to just keep on rolling? Or
yeah, quick question about the high watermarks project.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, do we have any questions? That's good.
Thanks. And, this is me new coming in, learning about it. It looks like a great project, really powerful photo of a familiar place. And I like the places where it's going. I'm wondering what you want the takeaway to be. Sort of, I come into this visiting one of these places. I'm on the trail and I see the sign. Do we want somebody like me to take some kind of action, or just sort of think about it? Is there going to be a follow-up? It's the sort of the so what of this signage.
Yeah, so that's.
Go ahead, Jay. Well, I was just going to say, so a while ago, the Conservation Commission identified coastal flooding as one of the issues we wanted to work on educating the public about in Scarborough. And then the town also has recognized that we have a lot of waterfront that is at risk to flooding, coastal storms, and erosion. So the high watermarks project kind of fits in with some of the ideas from our comprehensive plan in terms of education and outreach. And I would say mostly it's for an educational thing. But I think, right now, the way at least the signs are set up is to get people to think about the issue. The fact that, well, the water reached here previously, it's starting to reach closer and closer every time we have different storms. And with sea level rise, it potentially would be reaching that on a much more frequent basis. And then over and above that, it could be reaching much, much, much higher. So really, I think it's educational at this point, but it keys into a lot of the things that the town has done or is considering doing, again, related to the comprehensive plan, and the flood resiliency checklist that was completed, which is one of the documents that was attached to tonight's meeting, kind of outlines some of the steps the town could take in response to flood problems and things like that. So this is, again, one of the fitting into that educational component, but not really an action component per se. So Jamie, please jump in.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's really kind of an awareness tool. So getting people at least thinking about where floodwaters have been historically and where they may be in the future. And as Pete touched on, it's going to tie into some of the stuff that we're going to talk about later on as we start thinking about developing a climate action plan, or at least some priorities for things that the town should consider, and things that were outlined in the flood resiliency checklist.
You all right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else before we move on? All right. So also a follow-up item on something we brought up at our previous meeting is committee consolidation. So just as a brief overview, a few months ago, Tom Hall, the town manager, reached out saying that the town council is interested in exploring consolidating committees. The town has a lot of committees. There are usually council liaisons assigned to each of those committees. And so between their duties as town councilors and as liaisons to committees, there's a lot of work that they do. So just thinking about reducing the number of committees, if there's any redundancy or kind of complementary missions or committee charges. And so we discussed looking at consolidating Conservation Commission with the Pest Management Advisory Committee, which was set up back in 2011 to oversee the implementation of the town's organics policy. So we did have a pretty thorough discussion as a group here at our last meeting about, possibilities and challenges and, what may work well, what might be a struggle with combining those two committees. And the Pest Management Advisory Committee, also known as PMAC, briefly discussed it at their meeting in January, and the feeling that I got from them was that it was mixed. They saw some interest and some benefits to joining Conservation Commission. There were some reservations concerned that they, ooh, look at Susan, your pizza looks delicious.
Yeah, thanks.
Making us all hungry now. Some reservations, there were some thoughts that their mission and their priorities may get lost if they join the Conservation Commission. But they're open to exploring the idea. So the way things were left with them was that their two co-chairs, Marla Zando and Rita Britton, were interested in sitting down with myself and Todd Souza, who is the Director of Community Services and the staff liaison to the PMAC, and Pete, to talk a bit about what our priorities are and what consolidation might look like, just to kind of continue the discussion with a smaller group. So I need to touch base with Pete to talk about getting that set up for later in February. But if anyone wants to talk a little bit about what the two committees do, I know Susan is our committee liaison to PMAC, and she was not at our last meeting. So Susan, if you have any thoughts, if you think it might be a good opportunity, or if you see any challenges, feel free to jump in. So you're muted, Susan.
You're muted, Susan.
Okay. I couldn't get onto the meeting with the Zoom connection. So that's why I was trying to be there, but I think it's a great idea. And we've kind of talked about that on PMAC and a little bit at Conservation Commission, but I think it's a great idea to merge. Yeah.
That's good to hear. And I know, I think Marla's in particular was concerned just looking at the state statute for what Conservation Commission does. There's a lot about reviewing development plans and providing feedback. And I explained that that's not really what our commission focuses on. So I think they're looking for to get a better idea of what this Conservation Commission does and how they would integrate into our commission.
Okay.
So I think that is why they're looking to kind of have a smaller sit down and learn a little bit more about what this group does and have a discussion about how the two groups might work collaboratively.
Okay.
So Pete, I'll reach out to you separately to look in or figure out a time to schedule to meet with those folks.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good, Jamie. The one question I had is there are there any other committees or commissions that are slated or having these preliminary discussions of potentially merging, or is it just PMAC and Conservation Commission?
I got the impression that there were others that they were looking into, but I don't know offhand which ones they are. Like I said, there are a lot of committees in town, so I don't even know what all of the committees are. Jamel, have you heard anything about other committees? Any others that you might be involved with?
I have not, no.
Okay.
Okay.
How about the energy or whatever it's called now?
Sustainability, yeah. It was actually Tom initially asked about combining Sustainability and Conservation Commission, and it where Conservation Commission deals more with land use and Sustainability Committee is more energy efficiency, recycling policy. It seemed like PMAC was the better fit with conservation as opposed to sustainability. So that is to be continued. I'm not sure. Every time I've touched base with Tom to see where things stand, it seems like at this point, while it was a high priority a few months ago, it may be a lower priority for the council at this moment. So we may be having these discussions and it very well may not go anywhere. I'm not entirely sure what the process is going to look like. But just to keep everyone on the same page as we move forward, wanted to keep that on the agenda.
May I ask a side question?
Yeah.
Do we have a sense, and Susan, please jump in, do we have a sense of PMAC's interest in potentially pushing the right buttons at the town level for, how do I state this politically, for more interest in townwide use of organics versus pesticides or pesticide bans on not just town property, which is what, 27 acres or something like that, so some small percentage of the overall town. When we're thinking about the largest impact of this kind of thing actually being on residential use. I'm just wondering if there's any kind of discussions at that level, or is that something that's tabled right now?
No, it has been discussed, and that realization is there. I'm not fully aware of some of the politics of the composition of the committee, but the people who have been doing that forever realize that the larger problem is with all of the other property besides the town property. So they've been addressing that by education. there's kind of a resistance to kind of pushing beyond the limits of the town property, right? I suspect, I'm not really sure of that, but by the town. So
Okay. Maybe it's something we can discuss further in February,
Yeah.
Jamie. And
I think the
Sure.
people who've been on the committee forever realize that's definitely the larger issue, and they have felt historically support, but there's been a reluctance, I think, to kind of endorse going further with the regulation. So
I think our council has been pretty conservative on that issue. And if we want to see any change in town, a grassroots effort needs to take hold. That's how the policy got passed in the first place. There was a citizens group who was very active in pushing for it. And I think that if the community wants a larger ban, then the community needs to come together and organize around that.
Is Kennebunkport the only other town that has a ban?
Both Portland and South Portland have them.
Become a lot more mainstream to have that kind of a ban and a lot more accepted.
Yep.
We'll be the outliers here shortly.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that, like I said, the council's been pretty reluctant to take that step, and municipal leadership's been pretty reluctant. But if residents are asking for it and working towards it, then I think that they would be more open.
in that regard, do we know what was the name of the organization that helped spearhead the formation of PMAC?
The Citizens for a Green Scarborough.
Greener Scarborough, yeah. Do we know if that group still exists? Do they have interest in pushing this forward?
It does. They've kind of been, they're active, but they've been sort of not too much in your face these days. They're working on things. That's kind of where the focus should go back to get the grassroots going.
The reason I ask is I'm also a board member on the Friends of Scarborough Marsh, and we've got an effort going on it's kind of an informal designation. We're still working on it, but it's kind of like a marsh friendly designation for your property.
Yep.
There'll be like a sign, and you have to commit to, like bee friendly keeping and not using pesticides. One of our treasures in town, of course, is Scarborough Marsh, and everything we basically do on our properties in town, pretty much the whole town's a watershed to the marsh, impacts the marsh in some way or another. So it might make sense at some point to have further discussions about this, and maybe, I don't know if Conservation Commission is the right venue for moving this forward. Maybe it's PMAC, but it might make sense at some point to have a conversation about Citizens for Green Scarborough, FOSSUM efforts, and all these efforts, and how they might coalesce, or if they should, or anyway, maybe somebody needs to kind of be the lead on that. I don't know how that all has to come together, but all these efforts seem to be complementary right now. So maybe there's something that needs to occur at a larger level.
That would be great.
If I could just,
I'd love to help out with that.
yeah, if I could just break in for a moment for the new folks here, occasionally I've been known to be the agenda monitor, and we had 10 minutes. We've already gone over 10 minutes and not actually addressed the business of this meeting.
Oh, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
So, yeah, it's somebody's got to do it. What we will find out is there are a lot of fascinating discussions going on with the Conservation Commission, but sometimes we have to get pulled back to the agenda. And I recommend we get pulled back right now.
Thank you, Rachel.
I'll second that. Thank you.
All right, so we will hop into new business, the climate action plan and flood resiliency checklist. So just to give the new folks a little bit of a background, this group When I first started, I've been with Scarborough for about 2.5 years now. When I first started, the two priorities of the group were developing ordinances to ban polystyrene and plastic bags and to develop a climate action plan. So we decided to jump in with the ordinances, and then the state passed their statewide ban, and the council decided not to take action on our ordinance because the state was doing it for them. And so there was a little bit of a reluctancy since we knew that the state was working on a climate action plan to jump in on that before the state finished their effort, because weren't quite sure how council would take our plan when they knew that the state was working on their own. So now the state climate action plan has been complete. So it's time for us to take a look at the recommendations within that plan, and start working on our own priorities for Scarborough. Pete mentioned we've got a whole lot of shoreline, and we talked about our high watermarks project and potential for future flooding. So it's a really good time to start thinking about what we're going to do to either adapt or mitigate in Scarborough, dealing with our changing climate. So about a year ago, staff completed the flood resiliency checklist, which is kind of a coordinated effort to take a look at our infrastructure and our policies and our practices, to identify areas that need strengthening. So I did provide that as part of the meeting materials for you. And we can have a quick discussion this evening. I really saw this kind of as more of an introductory to the idea, and I think we'll spend some more time at our next meeting jumping into it. But if anyone has any thoughts on low-hanging fruit that you may have identified, or thoughts on this process, to do a full climate action plan will be a very large, in-depth, and a big lift. So my thought was to first identify some low-hanging fruit that we could pull together some recommendations to municipal leadership, and perhaps put together a bit of an implementation plan to show that we can actually get some of this work done. But I can open the floor to everyone else.
Yeah, I have one thought on that, real quick. One of the things that we discussed on the Climate Council subcommittee level was, does every community need a climate action plan, or do we integrate the climate lens into existing mechanisms? For instance, do you have to develop a whole climate action plan at the town level and go through the entire, possibly very expensive process? Or do you look at basically every single regulation and ordinance on the book and figure out how to look at it through the climate lens, to add resiliency, to cut down on greenhouse gas emissions and all that? So one of the things as a town I think we have to discuss is the town interested in pursuing a climate action plan and going through that process, or is the town going to take the recommendation of looking at each ordinance? And this kind of gets back into our comp plan too, but from a climate lens, and figuring out how to integrate climate resiliency into the existing stuff we already have on the books, I guess is what I wanted to say, because we know how long and drawn out comprehensive plan processes are. I don't know what the town had in mind for a climate action plan, but it could be a very long, drawn out, expensive process as well. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying there's something that we need to consider there. The other thought I had is, are we thinking that this would focus on, at least from a Conservation Commission standpoint, this would focus on resiliency and flooding and stuff like that, stuff we've already talked about, habitat, or would we be kind of delving into also the mitigation sector, which I know Chuck is pretty interested in? And that, I'll just shut up now.
Rachel?
Yeah, I'm always in favor of biting off manageable chunks. And I noticed in this, the document, the November 2018 document, that there were a couple of places, and now I've managed to only find one of them, where one of the suggestions was join FEMA's community rating system. and use the checklist as a guidance document for identifying creditable activities. I don't know much about that, but it seems to me joining a rating system handles some of or addresses some of the issues that are raised by the checklist. And I think at some other place, which, as I said, I can't find it right now, there was a discussion about the weather, and I don't know whether it was NOAA or what, but there was another sort of concrete project that we could use to address again some of these issues. One of my frustrations with the Conservation Commission, and I've been on it for about 5 years, so I own the problem, that we have a really lot of good ideas, and then we have difficulty achieving them because it's such a big. There's so many big issues to wrap your hands around. Whereas if we can get certification in something that's out there, whether it's FEMA or one of the other projects that was mentioned in that checklist, then we can sit there and say we've actually accomplished something. I was very pleased when we accomplished the plastic bag and the styrofoam ordinance, and then, well, my God, the state went ahead and did it for us. So we don't have some really concrete achievements that we can point to. Whereas I think using this checklist in some areas, we should be able to carry out a body of work that we can actually point to at the end of the year and say we did it. And to me, that sort of is a morale booster, and it says we do more than sit here and talk.
Go ahead, Randy.
I appreciate what Rachel just said, and I think the key is to pick one or two achievable goals and really stick with them. But I'm also wondering on this issue of climate action planning, if Jamel or Jamie on the staff level or this commission has coordinated or been contacted by GPCOG, who has their municipal climate action planning program, and they're helping individual towns make strides on these pieces. And has Scarborough done anything yet with GPCOG, and is that a resource for us?
We haven't on this particular topic. It's a fairly new initiative from GPCOG. We are aware of it, but we haven't done any work with them on it specifically yet. But it could be a resource for us to tap into.
Yeah, maybe that's something that we can do offline, Jamie, because I know that we've worked with them on many other projects. So definitely have a good connection there. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Randy.
Terrific.
Chuck?
Regarding the, taking on big issues and taking on too many things, I think that that's correct for our actual, achievable agenda. But there are other things that can be achieved, but not by us, but we can play a part. And I think that relates to the pieces on second part, the upcoming pieces on the agenda, where we can, through the lens of conservation, we can support things that are necessary. And, given the politics of the state and the nation now, there's huge possibilities for actually taking appropriate strides on climate change for the first time in my life. And I've been watching this since climate change first emerged. It's very exciting. And I don't want us to think small, because thinking big and doing stuff, opportunities come and go. It's time. And so for instance, the Green Bank, and we'll get into that in a minute, but I'm just stating it as an example of something that would create opportunity for many, many things on the municipal level to happen. So if we can be an influence on the town council to support things and influence on CPCOG and Maine Municipal Association, et cetera, to support things. We'll be a part of making stuff happen. Otherwise, I will feel rather impotent at this. I feel like disappointed to not really step up as big as we can at this time.
Anything else on that right now, folks? Any thoughts? Any additional thoughts? Noah?
Well, I have more of a question, Pete, and this is going off from what you've said, and then us, and somewhat responding to Chuck's thoughts, which I wholly agree with. And I guess that's trying to understand the climate that we're working in. You know, in some ways, you need to write a climate action plan if you're dealing with a community that isn't already on board and fully in agreement and working towards those goals anyhow, if that makes sense. And so that's really my question. At what level is already our town working and accepting things like cutting carbon, things like dealing with storm surge and high water issues? How much have we already fully accepted it and embraced it? Because if it's already fully accepted and embraced it, then yes, we need to work on this on a smaller, like an individual ordinance scale. But if it isn't embraced, then you do need climate action plan, because then you have a document that says, hey, we have to follow this. This is our document.
Can jump in, Jamie, in terms of the comprehensive plan. I know the new comprehensive plan has a lot of language related to climate change and climate action. So I know that'll help reinforce what the town should be doing. But again, this hasn't been adopted yet. But I think that will only help our cause here. So I'll just add that in.
I think some analysis of what the state's climate action plan that was just created, how it relates to towns, and you know, whether does it mandate anything? Does it recommend things? Are there things that towns are, you know, that. So, because the state plan is pretty darn good, and it gives a lot of direction and guidance. But I don't know what kind of clout it has. It's going to have its own budget, and is that budget just for state activity? I know the Green Bank is going to be for, which will be implemented through Efficiency Maine. They're going to control the funding, and if the federal comes through and the state, there could be $100 million for the state if it's apportioned demographically, because I mean by population statewide. So a lot of money for the state to do stuff, including municipalities. I know municipalities are eligible for this money. It's seed money, and private money is going to step up big time behind it, because that's what always happens.
Yeah. And
Well,
could be going off topic.
Yeah, I think one of the important, we don't have to make any decisions tonight about this issue. I think it's certainly something we definitely need to discuss, though, in terms of figuring out how to move forward. And I think there's a lot of research still that, no, sorry, my dogs are all over the place here. Yeah, so, and I know this ties into our next topic of Green Bank also, and we're a little bit behind. So I'm putting Rachel's hat on right now to try to keep us on track as well. So
yeah, let me. I found what I was thought. There's a question: is your community designated as storm ready by the National Weather Service? I think it would be very helpful if, since this is now 2 years old, if the staff just went through this quickly, not while we're sitting here, and if where there are no's, if we have since in those 2 years taken care of some of these issues, or can answer yes to this this checklist. That would be helpful because it might screen out some of the areas that the town is taking care of and help us focus a little more on what's left to be done in terms of our resiliency, sea level rise area that we've been working on. So that would be helpful maybe for next time, or if we could just see an updated section. And something else that would be helpful, I think, is knowing a little bit more about the state plan. Yes, there's supposed to be money in what areas, because and how much of that the money that's out there in certain areas is really going to require a match, because while there may be state money, if the town has to match it, 70%, then we have a different sort of a political work to do. So that information would help us focus in a little more on what we can take on.
Yeah, so and details are still kind of coming out and being developed as part of the climate action plan. So I don't know that we know exactly what the price tags attached to these things are going to be. There are going to be a number of bond packages that are introduced. And so if those pass, then we'll have a better idea. But again, that won't be until the legislature votes on them, and then until we all vote on them as well. So available funding is still a question mark, but it does segue nicely into our next discussion topic. But just as a recap, next steps, please, between now and the next meeting, take some time and look through the climate action plan. Staff will go through the flood resilience checklist and see if anything can be updated. And as we hear of what may be available for funding, we'll keep you all in the loop about that as well. All right.
I would suggest also that somebody reach out to our legislators to find out what they know about the stage things are in, and they usually have a pretty good idea if something's going to pass, if bonds are going to be issued, or something's going to go to a referendum. So it's always good to keep in touch with them. We've got 5 legislators for Scarborough. One of them should have the time to help us.
I know Sophie Warren has been interested in the climate issues so far. So I don't know if that's maybe the appropriate legislator to reach out to.
I don't know. She's not on the, I don't believe she's on the environmental. I think she's on labor. But we've got Kyle Bailey, Chris Piazzo, Sophie Warren, Stacy Brenner, and Ann Carney. So someplace in the 5 of them, one of them should be able to help us or to get information that we want. So I would recommend that we keep in touch, not just with the town councilors. And it would be, I'm sorry that John can't be with us tonight, but also with our legislators, since it looks like for the first time in quite a while, the legislator is going to be very busy on conservation and climate issues. So that would help. I'm trying to think of what committees people are on, and I just don't know if we've got anybody on that committee.
Stacy's the chair of the Environment and Natural Resources Committee.
That's it. Then perhaps inviting her to address us so that we get a really good sense of what's going on up at the legislature. That would be important.
Maybe she could address the us and the Sustainability Committee at the same time, or to make it easier for her.
Sure.
Certainly want them to benefit from her info. Yeah, she's all in on this stuff.
Yep, and Chris Piazzo is on the energy subcommittee up in the legislature as well, so he's a good one to tap into for sustainability, but I'm sure that the committee will be interested to hear what Stacey has to say also. So good. Shall we jump into Green Bank? And Chuck, you're the one that brought this to us, so perhaps you could give us a quick introduction and overview.
Okay.
For, what you're looking for.
Yep, it's I don't know if you've seen this document. I think it was provided to you through Jamie. Establish a Maine Clean Energy and Sustainability Accelerator to finance climate solutions. Its goal is to provide money for the states to implement the state's climate council plan. It's being called an accelerator because banks don't like it to be called a bank. But don't be confused. The banks like the plan. We expect to get the Maine Bankers Association support for the bill. They like it because every time there's because when these things in Connecticut and the states where there is such a bank, an accelerator, when the accelerator invests 1,000, private investment comes in at 3,000 or 4,000. So the banks stand to make a whole lot of money, and they like the idea, and they won't be in competition with it. They will be stimulated by it as we transition our economy toward sustainable energy and solutions. So the Maine Bankers Association, we're working on the coalition I'm in is working on the State Chamber of Commerce. And here locally, we want to get, in towns, we want to get the town council to support the legislation, which exists, and get the Maine Municipal Association to support it. There's a lot of work going on in that. It's very advanced, but our town isn't anywhere on it, as far as I know. And to get CPCOG, which plays a role in energy program projects. So those would be the things that we might try to impact through our town council, and we could perhaps give the council a goose and get the support with from the Sustainability Committee as well. I believe our town council still isn't particularly thrilled with climate change action, but I may be mistaken. I really have no idea how cooperative they're going to be. But so the idea is, and simultaneous with this legislation, there is a federal piece of legislation which has been introduced. As of Friday, it was to have had a number, and that bill passed the House last year, but now we have a new Senate, and it can pass the Senate as well, perhaps, in Biden's big climate plan, however that's going to be implemented. But the idea is that the federal plan would provide seed money for different states who have an organization that can receive the money. And that's been worked out in the Maine bill that Efficiency Maine would be the receiver of the funds and would implement the program. So it's all there to get perhaps as much as $100 million in seed money for Maine's Climate Accelerator. And then that organization will disperse the funds around the state to applicants who have plans, who have ideas, who put in proposals. And the Maine Accelerator is also going to be seeking grants in addition to the federal seed money. So everybody acknowledges that the Maine Climate Action Plan is very bold, but it doesn't have money to do much of the stuff that they want to do. So this is the solution. So I see it as an extremely high priority whose time is here and now, because this bill is coming up right now. So whatever we can do in regard to what I've said as soon as possible is what to do.
Chuck, do you know if there is a bill existing yet? Has it been released yet, or it's scheduled to be released?
It's scheduled to be released.
Okay.
Very soon. It's pretty much all ready. And I don't know exactly what's holding it up. But it's also a part of the Maine Environmental Priorities Coalition's priority list. It's right up near the top. So it will have support from a wide range of environmental organizations from the get-go. And it has
I'm sorry,
bipartisan support.
who's the legislative sponsor for that?
I get the bills confused. Is it? There's a Republican from Norway, a conservative old fellow with an old-fashioned Maine name. I can't remember it, but he is the one of the Republican sponsors, and I believe it's Representative Ziegler, who's the sponsor from the Democrats, and there are going to be lots and lots of other co-sponsors, and it will go to the committee where our senator is eager to receive it and put it through with a lot of support.
So is there any direct action we as a commission need to take at this time?
I would think, yes. I think we would want to learn it, study it, and be, as soon as possible, put something on paper stating how important this is to the town council. And if there's a way to influence CPCOG through town personnel, perhaps the town manager, people who work with CPCOG, to put in 2 cents, that this is something that the Conservation Commission is asking for, just to and to start making contacts with the Maine Municipal Association. I guess that Tom would be the liaison with them as well. And I don't know, I suppose the town council has to move on these things for him to do anything. But that means don't wait. Do it now. So we want to get the Chamber of Commerce, and we want to get as many towns behind it. We want to get those other organizations that I mentioned. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, we're going to need a copy of it. So I guess, Chuck, if you could alert Jabel or Jamie when the bill drops,
Right.
And then get the word out to us, and then certainly as individuals, if we would like to talk to people and push for it, we can start right away. We can't jump in for the town until it's gone through the whole process, but in knowing as individuals that it's out there would be very helpful. And then we'd have a chance to read it. Looks as though the Sierra Club is going to be the group pushing the the central group for the
Yes.
for the legislation.
David Gibson from the Sierra Club and is the point person. He's almost totally occupied with this right now.
And
So I think we don't want to jump on what they're doing until we know what they're doing, and they can perhaps provide us with more assistance.
Let's see.
Well, there's an upcoming meeting real soon, and I can have an update for this committee. I'll send an email to Jamie and get it in your hands.
Sure, and we did a similar process when the Sustainability Committee did a similar process about a year and a half ago when there was a bill talking about extended producer responsibility for recycled goods, and the committee requested that the town council pass a resolve supporting that measure. So I could see them potentially doing the same with this effort. But as Rachel said, they're going to need some more information before they make that decision.
Right.
So we'll work on pulling that information and materials together to make the request from this group when the bill is released, and we've got the information to know that this is something that the town should support.
Okay. Any other questions? You can read the bill as it is. I can send that to you tonight, I think.
Yeah, that would be
makes
helpful.
It's not a
Yeah.
finished product.
That'd be very helpful.
Yeah.
All right.
Meanwhile, this here has all the contents. It's like a executive summary.
Great.
Okay, would we want to move on to reporting?
Sure. We don't have a town council update because our town councilor's not here, so we can skip over that one.
Yeah.
Planning board update, while the planning board has met.
Oh,
is,
sorry. I just noticed that, I'm sorry, that John is here.
Oh,
He was in our attendees. I don't know how long he's been there, but let's bring him in. Sorry about that, John.
I didn't see that he was there either.
It was
I
not
got
cities for a while.
Yeah.
You know what? I live off of the town calendar, and this meeting is 7 on the town calendar, so I just actually joined in. So
Oh, man.
Good timing.
I will catch up on it, but I can give a town council update briefly. We've got our hands full right now. We've got a lot of things in motion. We're starting to work the budget schedule and some budget targets. We're going to shoot for less than 3% again, which is pretty much the same overall target we've had for a number of years. We've got some things happening with growth right now that we're keeping an eye on and trying to understand how to adapt to, but we're out of growth permits for this year and well on our way to having them taken for next year as well. And we're seeing housing prices kind of skyrocket. It's not going to happen. It's not all that sustainable, but we're trying to get our arms around what levers we might have to pull so that if somebody has a property that they had been planning to develop, that they have some options. I don't know what's going to come of it. Right now, the council kind of has mixed views, and we're trying to, I guess, understand it. Comprehensive plan, you guys have been, I think, deeply involved in. We're expecting to get that on our back on our plate sometime next month, so that hopefully we can take it to the finish line. And then the growth management ordinance revision is going to come after that, coupled with planning. That's I think at a high level, those are the key things that we have that we're moving forward. Is there anything that you guys would like me to bring back to council? Any feedback or comments?
Well, one of the items that we discussed for a while, and I took us off track, was a bit about climate action plan, whether or not that's how the town would be approaching that, and what the correct way of actually kind of getting at that would be. And we had a couple action items that we have, but I think the climate action plan would be something that is probably something that would need to be fleshed out a little bit further.
I think we've gotten some feedback about incorporating something along those lines into the comprehensive plan, but I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I agree, we need to start moving down that path. Thank you.
Anything else, folks?
Yeah, might as well bring
go to
up
John.
John. I don't. You're in the council. We just talked about possibly providing the council with an idea that they should support the Maine Green Accelerator bill that's coming into the legislature. It's a bit premature for me to be discussing it with you, but you're the liaison to our committee, so I'm going to bring it up. This Green Accelerator is basically a green bank that's going to provide funds for alternative energy projects and green projects in the state. There's a federal bill that is likely to pass, I understand, that will provide seed money for that bank and could provide a lot of money. So we would like to get, or I would like, and I think members of the committee would like to have council support for this main bill. And I'm going to send out an email tonight or tomorrow that gives more information. I'm going to send it to Jamie and she'll forward it along to you so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that's, I'm definitely interested in that. It's something, once we get up to speed or I get caught up, then it may be something that the commission might want to draft a memo for the council to review, something a little more formal. And then maybe we could adopt a resolution or something along those lines.
Yeah. I'm on the campaign to enact that bill. We're also asking trying to get support from the Maine Municipal Association and the COG organizations, Greater Portland COG.
Have you got any contacts at either of those?
Yeah, well, other people do, not me, and I don't know of any here. No, it's not in Scarborough. No, that's
Okay.
what I mean. So
That's something that we can help with outreach to as well.
yeah, okay, good, thanks.
Sure. I am really sorry I missed the meeting, guys. I am going to watch it and get caught up.
Well, thank you for being here and for that update.
Yeah, it was good timing to jump on.
And
You're right
luckily,
on
we
point.
didn't take your name in vain, so you don't have to. You
I
feel free
appreciate
to
that.
watch. Feel free to watch the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, don't watch the video, please.
The planning board, we're just simply proceeding. There's a lot of work going out on the downs. We're looking right now at townhouses. There are more businesses coming into the innovation district. I would guess that, what do you think, Jamel? It's probably a third completed now, if Crown Lift gets approved.
Yeah, probably a third, 30 to 35%.
Yeah, so the businesses are coming into there. They are good, clean businesses, and they are bringing jobs into Maine. Into Scarborough. As I said, I'm on the Long Range Planning Committee. I'm the liaison. I'm not on the committee. I'm the liaison from the Planning Board, and the committee is reviewing the comp plan every Friday morning from now until Easter, I think, or beyond that possibly. I have not had a chance to, at this point, to dig into specifically the conservation areas. We've been looking at some of the action plans, meet every Friday. So it's on target right now to go to the town council. I think the goal is sometime the end of March, beginning of April. Is that right, Jamel? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, next month. I think the next month or so.
Yeah. So I will try to dig into the conservation areas just to make sure that we're represented in there. But right now we're doing, putting in the comments or feeding into the plan, comments received at the meetings in the fall, and the 3 meetings that were held by the Long Range Planning Committee around that. So it's on target to actually get finished. It seems like a process that's gone on forever, and when we're done, we've got 8 years to use it, then start in on the next one. So thought I'd cheer you up, Jamel. So that's what's going on there.
Great. Well, I think you took care of 2 updates in one, unless Jamel, do you have anything else to add about comprehensive plan?
I do not. I think she covered it.
And I'll just quickly give you a summary of what Sustainability Committee is working on. We are working on a utility scale solar ordinance. So they just reviewed the first draft of the ordinance. It's under staff review right now, and some revisions have been made. So they'll take another look at it at their February meeting, and then it should go to the Long Range Planning Committee for their review and feedback at their March meeting. So if anybody is interested in taking a look at that, I'm happy to share it. I can send it out as part of the meeting follow-up if you want to take a look at the thought there. So currently, Scarborough does not allow any solar farms. We allow kind of solar as an accessory unit, or as a community solar, where the electricity goes directly to specific buildings, but nothing that can be constructed and used just to send electricity to the grid. So this ordinance would allow that type of solar development to happen in Scarborough.
Jamie, do you have any sense of the demand?
I can tell you that we get calls and emails on a weekly basis from people wanting to do that type of development in Scarborough. So, whether it makes sense on their property, that's something that they need to figure out. But at this point, it's not even something that can be considered because our ordinances don't allow for it. So we're hoping to change that. I know that there are at least 3 that would like to be in development, and then EcoMaine is actually currently developing a portion of their CAPS landfill that is in Scarborough under a municipal use. So that one is going before the planning board pretty soon. So that one is going to be, it looks like will be allowed because it EcoMaine, we are an owner member community of EcoMaine, so that's how they're able to work through that. So because it is considered municipal use, but any of the private property development right now can't happen.
Hey, in terms of the sustainability committee, Chuck, have you floated the green bank idea with the sustainability committee also? No.
No, Chuck, you're muted, but no, it hasn't gone to
Okay.
sustainability committee.
I mean,
Do
I
you want
almost
me to do
wonder
that,
if
or do you want to do that, Jeff?
I almost wonder if that would be the appropriate committee to be kind of like pushing that issue forward at the town level.
Sure.
I mean, the
I don't
commission
see any
also,
reason why
but
both.
I think the request could be a joint request from sustainability and
Yeah.
conservation.
okay.
Yeah. Do you want to do that, Jamie?
Yeah, I'll yeah, if you want to keep me in the loop with
Yeah.
whatever information you get, but I'll work with the sustainability committee. And I would be the one to pull together the draft memo and throw it by probably Pete and Rick Meinstein, who's the chair of the sustainability committee, for their review and finalization before it goes off to the council and Tom.
Great. Sounds good. Anything else in terms of sustainability?
That's the biggie.
Okay. Good stuff. So it looks like our next meeting is March 8th, which is exactly a month from now. So
Funny how February works like that.
yeah. And so I want to thank everybody and our new members for committing to helping Scarborough move forward in conservation issues. And our council liaison, John, thanks for joining. We'll make sure we get you at the right time next time, but good timing and jumping on when you did. Any last minute thoughts before we motion to adjourn? Okay. Everybody stay healthy, stay safe, and motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All right. All in favor? All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care, stay safe, and we'll chat soon. And Jamie, I'll probably be chatting with you sometime in the near future about some of that stuff we talked about.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.